pockets. My father drank. And some of you may be thinking, Asher, so did my own. But statistics tell me that there will be people in this room who understand exactly what I mean when I say my father drank. My father drank the meals we should have eaten and the clothes we should have had on our backs. My father drank Christmases and birthdays and every last penny of my first Holy Communion money. My father drank until he could no longer keep his demons in check, and he would say and do unthinkable things that he could never remember and we could never forget. My father drank. He would get his brew on a Monday and leave my mother's housekeeping on the second-hand kitchen table because God forbid that he should place it in her hand. On Wednesday, he would ask for half of it back. On Friday, he would ask for the second half. On Saturday, he would raid our piggy banks, and on Sunday, he would owe half the bar a pint. My father drank. As an adult looking back, I can only conclude that my mother raised us on air. But he would leave the house at 11 on Saturday. By mid-afternoon, the walls of the house had begun to breathe, and we had begun to breathe with it. My mother would pull out the record player, housed in a bright orange case, and we would play the Kinks and the Beatles and Elvis Presley, and my sister and I would sing "When I'm 64" so loud our throats scratched. And we would put on fluffy slippers that we knew slid on the tiled kitchen floor, and God bless my mother, she did her best to teach us to jive. My mother bought cardigans and jumble sales, and she would rip out the wool and save the buttons, which meant that we had the best button box in the whole of our street. She would reknit the wool into 10-centimetre squares, and on Saturday afternoons we would lay them on the tiled kitchen floor, and my mother would tack them together because later she would stitch them to make blankets for our beds. My mother ran the bath at 6:30. My sister and I sat in each other's grime. We washed our hair in a rank brown liquid called polytar that my mum got free from the chemist because my brother had eczema. 7 o'clock found us sat in front of the coal fire as my mother wielded a fine metal comb through damp hair, root to tip, in search of nits that she never found. And we would drink ginger cordial from wine glasses, eat heart-shaped sandwiches made with a cookie cutter, and sliced oranges sprinkled with sugar, and watch Morecambe and Wise. And my mother would watch Morecambe and Wise and read a Mills and Boon and stitch our blankets and hold a conversation and drink a cup of tea and smoke Players number 6 all at the same time. You know, at 6 and 8 years old, we had heard the battles that went on in our home. My father's words were already planted in my mind like primed grenades, and the wounds he inflicted on my mother were already teaching me: hold fire, lie low. But we had not yet seen the war, not yet been in the trenches, but in the war in which we were raised. My mother made pockets where fluffy slippers became blue suede shoes, where heart-shaped sandwiches were quite literally the best thing since sliced bread, where calloused hands on damp hair calmed the storms within us, and where knitted squares of wool became more precious than rubies and more valuable than diamonds. And later, she would drape these squares around our shoulders and say, "Night, night, close your eyes, shut tight." And we would close our eyes shut tight, and we would wait on the war.